Right now, as you watch this video, a war is being fought. Not in the skies, not on the ground, not even on the surface of the ocean. It's happening 4,000 meters below sea level, in complete darkness, and almost nobody knows it exists. This war has no soldiers, no missiles, no declarations. But if the wrong side wins, international banking freezes, global markets destabilize, and entire regions lose their internet overnight. Not theoretically, not in the future. It has already happened, and the attacks are accelerating. Today we're pulling back the curtain on the most critical infrastructure on the planet. Infrastructure your school never taught you about, that the mainstream media consistently underreports, and that Russia, China, and the Houthis are already actively targeting. Stay with me, because in the next 10 minutes you'll know something that most analysts, most journalists, and most politicians still haven't connected into a single clear picture. Let me ask you something. When you send a message from your phone to someone on the other side of the world, where do you think it goes? Most people say satellites, and honestly, it's a reasonable assumption. The truth? Satellites carry less than 1% of global internet traffic. The other 99%? It travels through cables, physical cables, lying on the ocean floor, right now. And not just your messages, every email, every bank transfer, every military communication between allied governments, all of it, racing along the bottom of the ocean through cables roughly the width of a garden hose. This is the infrastructure that runs the modern world. There are over 600 of these cables crisscrossing every ocean on the planet, stretching more than 1.4 million kilometers, enough to wrap around the Earth 35 times, each one roughly the width of a garden hose, each one carrying data at nearly the speed of light. But here's what makes this truly insane. These cables don't just carry your emails and your Netflix. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, every single day, $10 trillion in financial transactions flows through these cables. That's not per year. That's per day. Every wire transfer, every stock trade, every central bank communication, all of it moving through cables on the ocean floor. Cut these cables, and you don't just lose the internet. You freeze the global financial system, and someone is already cutting them. September 6, 2025. Multiple undersea cables in the Red Sea were severed near Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Within hours, internet connectivity degraded across India, Pakistan, the UAE, Kuwait, and large parts of the Middle East. Microsoft confirmed its Azure cloud services were affected. Financial transactions slowed. Platforms like Zoom, Teams, and cloud services became sluggish across entire regions. Repair timelines? Weeks, not days. And the cause? Still officially unconfirmed. And the Red Sea is not the only battlefield. Christmas Day, 2024. The Baltic Sea. A suspicious oil tanker, registered in the Cook Islands, having departed from a Russian port just the day before, began moving strangely through the Gulf of Finland. Finnish authorities tracked it, crossing directly over critical undersea infrastructure. Hours later, the damage was confirmed. 4 data cables and the Estlink 2 power line connecting Finland and Estonia, all severed. Finnish special forces boarded the vessel by helicopter in what authorities called the most dramatic seizure of a foreign ship in modern Finnish history. The ship? The Eagle S, part of Russia's Shadow Fleet. Its black box had been conveniently offline the entire time, and this wasn't the first time. In October 2023, a Chinese-owned vessel dragged its anchor for miles across the Baltic Sea floor, damaging cables and a gas pipeline. According to Finnish police, at least 11 cables and pipelines have been cut in the Baltic Sea since 2022 alone. This is not coincidence. This is a campaign. If this level of analysis brings you value, join the strategy by subscribing to the channel. We decode the global markets using visual economics that the mainstream media often ignores. Let's get back to the breakdown. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, cables get cut, they get repaired. What's the real danger? Well, there are fewer than 60 dedicated cable repair vessels on the entire planet for 1.4 million kilometers of cable across every ocean on Earth. Many of these ships are aging, some pushing 40 years old. New ones cost over $100 million each, and take years to build. Nobody is rushing to invest. And when a cable breaks in an active conflict zone, like the Red Sea, repair ships cannot even enter the area without military escort. The September 2025 cuts took weeks to fix, in a relatively accessible location, with no coordinated military opposition. Now imagine something different. Not one cable cut, 5 or 6 simultaneously in different oceans, different jurisdictions, different repair timelines. The internet doesn't collapse everywhere, but specific regions go dark. Financial systems in those regions slow or freeze. Military communications between allied governments degrade, and the repair queue backs up for months. This is not a theory. This is a documented vulnerability that Western governments are actively wargaming right now. So who is fighting this invisible war, and why? 3 actors, 3 different weapons, 3 different motives. Russia operates through what military analysts call plausible deniability. Shadow fleet tankers, ships with hidden ownership, no Western insurance, operating under foreign flags, drag their anchors across cables and disappear into international waters. Russia denies everything, but Finnish President Alexander Stubb was unambiguous. The Eagle S had clear links to Russia. NATO's own Deputy Supreme Commander called it a deliberate provocation. Russia's motive is not complicated. Europe supports Ukraine. Cutting cables sends a message: we can reach your infrastructure anywhere, even at the bottom of the ocean. The Houthis operate differently, and perhaps more recklessly. In February 2024, 4 cables in the Red Sea were severed. The US government's own assessment was direct. The cables were most likely cut by the anchor of the Rubimar, a ship the Houthis had struck with missiles days earlier, as it drifted and sank through one of the most cable-dense corridors on Earth. The Houthis didn't need to target the cables directly, they just needed to sink a ship near the right coordinates. That is perhaps the most unsettling revelation in this entire story. You don't need a submarine or special equipment to sever the cables carrying the world's financial system. You just need to sink a vessel in the right place. China is the most sophisticated actor and the longest-term threat. In early 2025, Chinese researchers at the China Ship Scientific Research Center published a study detailing a new deep-sea cable cutting device. It operates at 4,000 meters depth. It uses a diamond-coated grinding wheel spinning at 1,600 revolutions per minute, engineered specifically to slice through steel-reinforced cables in near-zero visibility. China officially calls it a civilian salvage tool. The world is waking up, but slowly. In January 2025, NATO launched Baltic Sentry, deploying warships and patrol aircraft across the Baltic Sea. Simultaneously, the UK activated a separate AI-powered system called Nordic Warden through the Joint Expeditionary Force, tracking every suspicious vessel across 22 maritime zones in real time, from the English Channel to the Baltic. Finland seized the Eagle S. Sweden intercepted another vessel weeks later. For the first time since these attacks began, the world was watching back. In the United States, the House of Representatives passed the Undersea Cable Control Act in September 2025, a bill designed to block foreign adversaries from acquiring the technology needed to build or maintain American cable infrastructure. It now sits in the Senate. 2 months after that, lawmakers introduced the Strategic Subsea Cables Act, giving the president authority to impose sanctions on any foreign individual who intentionally damages undersea cables. These are the right moves, but here is the strategic reality every investor and every person watching this video needs to understand. The response is reactive, the attacks are proactive, legislation takes years, cables get cut in hours, and while Western governments scramble to protect what already exists, China is building what comes next. Through its digital Silk Road, Beijing is financing cable projects across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East on terms no Western company can match. Whoever owns the cables owns the routes. Whoever owns the routes controls the data. And whoever controls the data holds power over governments, financial systems, and entire economies. Right now, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon own or lease roughly half the world's undersea cable capacity. Nation-states own just 1%. The infrastructure that civilization depends on is privately owned and geopolitically contested. The next great conflict will not be announced. There will be no declaration, no missiles on live television. It will begin in silence, deep below the surface, with the quiet drag of an anchor across a cable carrying your money, your data, and your government's most sensitive communications.